Okay, I'm going to go through a couple of the problems that one of them we did go in through class, but I didn't get to show you what the solution looks like, and the other one we didn't go through in class. So I want you to do your homework, but if you need to look through these and try them on your own, I would encourage you to do that. So I'm going to make sure I can draw here. Give me a highlighter there. All right. So this is the problem, but I would encourage you to get out your handout because I believe I cut off some of this problem. Anyway, we went through this in class. You should have the problem in front of you from the handout that I gave you, that one-page handout with 2215 on it. It had 5 or 6 problems right after each other on it. But this is the problem. So the following data relate to the factory overhead costs. I said, these are my notes. I just took a picture of my notes. But I said that this one is actual right there. This is our flex budget in the middle. And this is our applied on that side. And then I have variable and I have fixed overhead. What we're generally concerned about are the total numbers of these two added together, or these two added together, and these two added together. But this particular problem, I only asked for a couple of them, so I don't need to total them. All right, so in this particular one, it says actual was 262, so that gives me this 262 right there. Actual for fixed was 90, so I've got my 90,000 and I have my 262. That's just given. Then it says standard was 14,000 hours at $25 an hour. But if I keep reading through here, productive capacity of 100% was 15,000 hours, and the total factory overhead budgeted cost at a level of 14,000 hours was 356. So I know that it was 356 for total at factory overhead for the budget. In other words, the flexible budget was 356. So these two added together, 356. Okay? Then if I keep reading, the variable factory overhead controllable variance, fixed factory overhead volume variance, and total factory overhead cost variance, the fixed factory overhead rate was $6 per hour. I wish they had continued this sentence right there to say $6 per hour based on maximum capacity, because that's kind of important. So if I have my estimated overhead divided by my estimated base, my base is based on 15 maximum capacity, which is 15,000. That's told you right there. Productive capacity of 100% was 15,000. You can't get any better than 100%. And it says it's $6 an hour. So I take $6 there. Now I can back into my 90,000. Please work through this yourself. Most of the people who actually get this stuff write all this stuff out. Most people that think they're going to remember it later and don't write it out don't remember how to do it later. So actually practice it. It's just, again, like piano, guitar, everything you want to practice, you actually can't really watch somebody do it. So please don't watch me do this. You'll get about as good watching me do this as you would getting good watching me play the guitar. I can't play the guitar, but you wouldn't get very good either. So anyway, we have $90,000. That $90,000, always the numerator in here comes down here. Because under a flexible budget, my budget amount for fixed overhead stays the same regardless of how many I made. So that 9,000 goes here. This 6 always goes there. Okay, so I've got that one done, I've got that one done, I've got the 6 done. Then I'm saying that I use 14,000 standard hours. So I have 14,000 hours times 6 because it's $6 per hour. So it'd be a good thing to write per hour there. So I get 84,000 there. And up here, I really haven't figured out this 19 yet, I don't think. But I do know that up here it says total was 25. And if fixed was 6, 25 minus 6 is 19. All right, so I can back into the 19, and I also know that variable overhead for 14,000 was 266, but I can take 14 times 9 and get 266. This one always comes over here. That's the same amount for the flex. At least in this book. You'll find out in other books it's a little bit different. So now I have all my numbers. So this one, there's 0 variance there. This one, there's 0 variance there. So the two questions are, what is the controllable variance? 4,000 favorable. So notice what they did up here. Actual factory overhead minus budgeted factory overhead for 14,000 hours. They had to back into the $19, which was 25 minus 6. I did this down here. And I took 14,000 times 19. They took 14,000 times 19. We got that difference of 4,000. Then this volume variance has to do with the fact that I have 15,000 in my denominator. But when I applied it, I only applied it based on 14,000. So that's a difference of 1,000 hours. That's $6 an hour. So that answer is $6,000. Unfavorable. Since one is favorable, the other is unfavorable, they net out to a $2,000 unfavorable variance. So I'm going to pause this and go to 16, which we did not get to. Okay, now find your handout and go to 2216. I tried to copy it down there, but I messed up. Let me see, maybe it is. Okay, so it looks like this. So I'm actually going to just leave it down here, and I'll go up here how they did theirs in just a little bit. But Bloomin' Textiles Corporation began April with a budget of 90,000 hours of production in the weaving department. The department had a full capacity of 100,000 hours under normal business conditions. So I have 90,000 in my budget. I have 100,000 at full capacity. The budgeted overhead at the planned volumes at the beginning of the April was as follows. So variable overhead, notice it says planned volumes. So I have 540,000 divided by 90 is $6 an hour. But for fixed overhead, again, I wish they would tell you that they do fixed overhead at full capacity, is 2.4, because later on we're going to see what the cost of our lost capacity is. But most textbooks will say fixed overhead application rate is based on full capacity, and I will tell you that. So 240,000 divided by 100 is 2.4. So this is my fixed overhead down there. So I really need to do estimated overhead divided by estimated base equals rate. Okay, now I know, again, just like in the other one, I have variable and fixed. I have my actual, I have my flex budget, and I have my applied. Okay? Your applied, these numbers right down here, estimated overhead divided by estimated base is 6 and 2.4 are going to be right there. This number is always going to be the middle number, because in a flex budget, fixed is fixed. Okay, so you notice in this one, I needed this to get the 2.4, so I really wish they had told me, but this 240 could go up there. Actual, I'm reading down here, actual factory overhead was 782,000 for April. Actual fixed factory overhead was as budgeted. So again, I usually don't need two of them broken apart, but the total is 782,000, and it tells me fixed overhead was as budgeted. So fixed actual is 240 because it tells me it was as budgeted, which means it was the same as budgeted. And so the other 542 is the variable overhead. So now I've got this one, that one, that one. And standard hours at actual production volume of 92,500 hours. So I have 92,500 hours, and this is a rate per hour, so I should have put per hour there. So 92,500 times 6 and 92,500 times 2.4 gives me these numbers, and this one simply goes over there. Okay, so these two are called my spending variance right here. My manufacturing overhead spending variance. Variable is 13,000, fixed is 0, so my spending variance is 13,000. This one is, you're never going to have a variance in that one. And this one is your volume variance. So my volume variance is 222 minus 240. So I have $18,000. If this is, I spent more, this is my budget. This is what I applied, so it's unfavorable. So let's look up here and see how they did theirs. So remember, 13,000 for spending and 18,000 unfavorable for volume variance. So I'm going to get rid of those a little bit. Gotta scroll up and clear that. Okay, so you can see they took the actual factory variable, which was the total minus the 240, same way I backed into 542. Then we have our standard hours, 92,500 times 6. 92,500 times 6 is 555, which comes over there. So I have 13,000. Okay, so they just showed it for that one. And then the capacity is 100% is 100,000. What I did is 92.5. So I have 7,500 excess, fixed overhead rate, excess capacity that I did not use at a fixed overhead rate of 2.40. So I have 7,500 times 2.40 is 18,000. Okay, so notice that I got the 240,000 by taking my, well, it was just my numerator capacity. Anyway, so that's how they did it, same way I did here. And we have proved this one down here. What did I think I was going to make? So many units, but in this case it's based on overhead application rate. 100,000 minus the amount I used. I mean, 7,500 at 240 an hour gives you your 18,000. Okay, so I hope that helps, and I hope you can use it for your homework.